What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys been out there building shit. I'm Aspie, and this is the Workshop, where I encourage you guys to take on projects, use your own God-given hands, and accomplish things throughout the day so that by the end of the day, you build up your self-esteem, you build up your self-worth. Welcome to my truck collection. Well, I guess that was most of it. Still got a straggler over here, too. Today, we're going to be working on old bullnose here. She's an 86 F350 dump truck with a 6.9 IDI diesel engine. If you follow the channel, you know last week we've been starting to go through the entire fuel system. We installed brass three-way valves for the supply and return system instead of the finicky factory fuel selector valve. Now, one of the next steps to repairing this truck's fuel system is to get rid of that pesky shower head that always breaks off. Singing in the rain, oh, singing in the rain. Sing, 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 singing in the rain. I don't know who snuck into my shower, but that's not the shower head we're talking about. We're talking about the one inside the fuel tank. You unscrew this, and this is your fuel sender and fuel pickup. Down here at the end of your fuel pickup, there's usually a shower head. Those shower heads are notorious for breaking off over the years. Some people just put a piece of hose and so that it reaches down to the bottom of the tank and is able to pick up all the fuel instead of acting like she's on empty when you still got about a quarter tank. Another thing that happens with these fuel pickups is they'll start rusting, and then you get pinholes in there and you're trying to suck fuel through a straw with holes in it. That's not very effective. I ordered up one of these fuel tank sumps off of Amazon. It comes with fittings and the bolts, and you drill a hole through the bottom of your fuel tank, and so that your fuel pickup is at the bottom. It turns your fuel system into a gravity feed, and it's much more efficient. You're guaranteed to get all the fuel out of the tank this way. Now, one of the reasons why I'm upgrading to a sump rather than replacing the fuel sending unit and pickup is because of this here centrifuge. I'm going to be running waste motor oil in my truck, black diesel they call it. So I want to upgrade my lines to a 1/2 inch instead of the stock 3/8. Get that thick oil to flow a little better. Enough jabbering the jaws, let's get this fuel sump installed in the rear tank. One of the first steps for me is removing this skid plate that covers the rear fuel tank. So, bolt in the middle, I've already taken off the nut. This one, I've already taken out the bolt. One more to remove with the old impact. Got a 13mm on the bottom, and I think it's a 9/16 on top. That dropped down, and holy moly, is that Dierte?
Anyway, I just put an E on it, pronounce it Dierte.
All kinds of sand and dirt and mud stuck between those layers, so probably a good thing that I'm pulling this down and getting to clean it up a little bit. On the front side of this tank and the skid plate, looks like I've got to take off quite a bit more. I got to take off this heat shield. Got to take off 3 bolts there. One from the top tank strap, 2 that are holding the skid plate. Same on the other side. Got the center one, which is the tank strap on the top. And then 2 to the outside, which hold up this skid plate. But I'm going to go ahead and tilt up my bed, my dumping bed, so that hopefully I can get to the top sides of these bolts a little bit better and have somebody hold them while I impact them out from the bottom. Got the bed tilted up, stuck a piece of wood in there so it doesn't shorten nobody's neck. Definitely got better access to the tops of those bolts from up here. Removing this heat shield that blocks the exhaust from the gas tank give me a little easier access to the tank strap bolts, and also the exhaust is pretty well shot anyway. Looks like I'm kind of the dumbass on this one. I thought that I was just doing the skid plate, getting it out of the way. But apparently the skid plate is the bottom tank straps on this truck. None of the other YouTube videos showed me that, so I ended up getting half of it undone and it decided to fall down. But I'll go ahead and finish pulling it. Got it dropped down. It did kind of catch this brake line on its way down a little bit. I'm not reusing my factory lines because I'm upgrading them to a 1/2 inch. But if you are, get a screwdriver in there, pop that clip, pop that off. Once I got it down, used the cutters, went ahead and cut the fuel line and the return line up here on the frame rail, routed them back. So now the whole thing should be loose and ready to pull out. Holy moly, got those tanks pulled, guys. I am covered in dirt all over my face, in my eyes. Time to take a shower and plan how to put it all back together. Alrighty, so we got the skid plate out. First step for it is going to be a nice bath. Now, I'm not going for perfect, but it is nice to not be dealing with a bunch of dirt and mud when you're trying to drill holes and cut something. Luckily, I've got a plastic tank, not metal, and it's flat, nice and flat on the bottom, instead of most of the tanks that I've seen that are ribbed all the way across. So my sump's actually going to work on this one quite well. I suggest before you go ordering this sump kit and thinking you can just install it on your truck, you take a look up under there and see what kind of tank you've got. This is a regular truck and it's got a completely different tank compared to old Bullnose here, which was a cabin chassis when it was born. From the research I've done, and my understanding is cabin chassis have a different style tank than a regular F250, F350. Now the side tank, on the other hand, has a nice flat spot there to install it and no skid plate. But again, depending on the year and the model of truck, this one does got a skid plate. So you get my point, guys. The different years and the models are different. So go out and take a gander underneath your truck before you go ordering parts. So this skid plate here, and this is the front of the truck, that's the back. It's already got these 3 holes here. So I'm going to use the cutoff wheel and connect those holes and get rid of all that. But then the sump will be in there somewhere like that. So I think I'm going to drill some holes up here around the corner so that I can cut to them and then across, and that'll give my lines and everything room to run. There's one hole. There's my new 2 holes. There's the old 3, and the plan is to connect all these holes with the cutoff wheel. So let's get started. There we go. I'm going to use the flap wheel and kind of clean up those edges so they're not sharp no more. With the flap attack here, step, get those edges with a little bit of spray bombing. Hopefully keep them from rusting out too quickly. Again, not going for perfection. It's honestly just the paint that I had around. Got it on sale somewhere. I'm gonna leave that drying a little bit, and we're gonna go get this here fuel tank emptied out. And to do that, I'm just gonna dump it right into my centrifuge system. So I pulled the filler neck out to dump this out. Had a little bit of spillage, but we're getting it dumped out. Don't you be worrying about that red color. Hypothetically, I might live in farm country. Or it could be ATF I add to my diesel fuel. Now we've got the emptied out tank set in our cutout skid plate. And so we're gonna have to figure out where our sump will fit and get it drilled. Man, I am really having trouble getting this tank to seat back down in here properly, and so I can even get the straps close to fitting up and around. I've stomped on it, I've beat on it, I've wiggled it. I'm really struggling, guys. The only thing that I've found that might be causing it is this big dent here. So I'm gonna try beating that out a little bit, and so that I can get the tank to seat down in there. And then we've got this bent lip here, so I'm gonna knock it down. Let's try that gas tank again. She ain't perfect, but she's sure a lot better now. I'm gonna go ahead and use the sump, drag this over where I can get to the bottom and see where I want the sump and drill a pilot hole. Okay, so I'm going to drill a pilot hole, and so that I can then use my hole saw and cut out the hole big enough for this diameter, and so that we can get this mounted in the bottom of the tank. Come in here to the hole saws, and we got to find one that's just bigger than this diameter. So let's start testing them and seeing what will be our best one. Well, got the hole saw set up on the drill. We go. Now we've got a hole through the bottom of our tank. I'm going to clean those edges up and get this all washed up before we install the sump. Now before we go too crazy with the mounting of this sump, I want to go ahead and use some pipe dope and get these fittings tightened in there and pipe doped, and so that we're not attaching them once this is on the bottom of the tank and flexing on what we already installed. I think it'll be easier out here in the hand. Got both of those pipe doped and screwed in. I don't anticipate this part being a super easy step of the process. Basically, you got to fish this up through the hole and inside, and then hold it while you arrange the outside part over it, line up the holes, and get the screws into the right spots. So I've got a pick that I'm planning to go through the holes and get it into this, and so that I can pull it together and start a screw. But I don't think that it's going to be that quick or easy. Probably a lot easier just saying it. The first step that I'm going to take is to wipe down the outside of this tank and hopefully get rid of any dirt remnants, sand remnants, etc., and give that ring the best chance of sealing. I could probably add some RTV if I wanted to, but I'm hoping that I don't have to. Then it's got to go in this. It's got to go on the outside and sandwich it, but the holes have to be in the right spots, and so the screws will go in. So first and foremost, let's see. I'm going to go basically like that and pinch it while I start a bolt. Alright YouTube, so I end up going through with this pick. I held the back piece up with this through the front piece, got it in there like that, and I held them both up there while I started those bottom two screws. Now I've got to get this third screw started, and then we can tighten it down, and so it all clamps together. Luckily this kit came with long enough screws that you're able to hold it out and kind of get them started. If they would have done shorter screws, oh man, we would have been screwed. There we go, guys. Give this a slight wiggle, got it to seat down into the hole. Tighten these up into a crisscross and circular pattern, and it's on there nice and tight. Hopefully she don't leak. So we got the sump set up. I went ahead and cut the straps off this tank. I'm going to pull them off the yellow truck. I'm going to go ahead and get this bed tilted up for now so we can get this in place, and then we'll drop this in from the top inside of it. Having that dump bed sure is convenient for getting to that rear tank easier. So in order to get these tank straps off this tank, we gotta go through some of the same stuff we did on the other truck. Get rid of the heat shield, come from the bottom and get the straps undone on this side, and then undo the bolts at the back to get the straps out. Go ahead and hit these bolts with a little looby dooby. So I'm not able to get the whole tank up and out of the way by myself, just too heavy, but I did get it far enough out of the way each direction to get the straps off, so success. Alrighty guys, so I got the center and the back up, and then I picked up the front, got it situated around this brake thing and whatnot. Got the bolts up here, and these two, just kind of finger tighten them for now so that I can get the straps down into the back and the bolts up through. And then I'll have to get the tank in and the front of the straps down and through those holes to tighten up the straps. But some people will probably wonder, why did I take this whole thing out? Why not just cut it while it was in the truck? Honestly, I think that it's kind of a half one, 6 dozen of the other type of a deal, or six of one, half dozen of the other type deal, because would I have struggled more cutting this out while it was in the truck, or was it easier pulling it out, getting it all situated, cutting it, and getting it painted and put back in? I don't really know. This is just the way that I chose to do it. I came down underneath and I was able to reach up through the hole that I started, and I got the straps put on both sides. Now time to pick this guy up with the sump and drop it down in there. Now for the next tricky part is getting these up and over and getting that to the right angle to get down through that hole. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a screwdriver so I can reach down next to it and get it lined up and push it through, and then I'll start the nut on the bottom. I got the nuts started on the straps on both sides. I'm not going to tighten them down till I get all the bolts that hold the skid plate up and tight. Same with the back ones. So that's what I'm going to get done now. Got all the bolts tightened across the back, got them tightened across the front. That's what the sump's looking like from down below. And I really hope that I don't live to regret installing all this before I made sure that that sump holds water, or diesel in this case. Whew, got that tank remounted. Time to come and wash my face. This stuff, the grit gets in my eyes, gets into rubbing into my skin, making it burn. Holy moly. Got to get it a little cleaned up, then I'll head back out. Put some diesel in the tank. Dumped it through there. Disposed of it in an environmentally friendly way. Hopefully that got some of the sediment and gunk off the bottom of that tank before we hook up the hoses back here. Got that hose connected and clamped to that sump on the bottom of the tank. Now we'll route that hose right up here. I ran that hose up over along inside the frame rail, and I'm bringing it right up over the frame rail with this gas tank filler and to our filter. From the rear port on the front valve, which is the supply side, a line going back, and it's going to go right up there to that filter. At this point, we can say the rear tank is fixed. So that wraps up the installation of that fuel sump. But if you want to understand the rest of my fuel system and deleting that trouble-prone fuel selector valve, check out last week's video. So we did break off a rusty tailpipe in this adventure. I'm going to go ahead and get it out of that rubber hanger, because that's not very healthy laying like that. Eventually we'll cut that exhaust off, at least the muffler. Probably just do a turn down somewhere right up in here with a new hanger up to the cross member, but that's for another video. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, maybe learned something, hit that thumbs up button. It's really appreciated by this small YouTuber trying to grow, trying to beat those evil algorithms. If you want to see future IDI content, hit that subscribe button. If you're jonesing for some more IDI videos, now as you see, I've got a bit of a collection of these old IDI diesels. So check out the description of the video. I'll have links to plenty other how-tos and tech tips. We're still building the IDI mud truck and race truck. I went and picked up a roll bar for her. Oh, and we're still doing the cab swap onto the other IDI. I even found another gem of an IDI truck, cheap on Facebook Marketplace. Pulled the zip ties and bias plies move, blowing out that tire, doing about 90 on the way home. Most of all, guys, use your hands, take on some projects, build something, fix something, create something, do some art, do something productive today that by the end of the day you look back at it and you feel good about yourself. You build up your self-esteem, you build up your self-worth. That's what this channel's about. Encouraging you guys to have victories in your own lives, accomplish things in your own lives, and build up your self-worth. So till next time, keep building shit.